and welcome to Sick Girl, the podcast. I am your host, Ashley Singleton, and today I wanted to talk about CRPS. What is it? How do you get it? How did I get it? Let's dive in. It is a form of chronic pain that usually affects a limb, so your legs, your foot, your arm, your hands. Typically, it develops after an injury or surgery or a stroke. Sometimes I've heard people just wake up with it. It is a very strange condition. One thing to know is that there are two forms of CRPS. Type 1 is a type that occurs after an injury or an illness, but it didn't directly damage the nerves in the area that you're feeling pain. Type 2 occurs, but there is a distinct injury to the nerve. So you can have either type of CRPS. They're both incredibly painful. CRPS rates on the McGillis pain scale number 2, most painful condition. Some symptoms of CRPS are continuous burning or throbbing pain, sensitivity to touch, cold, swelling, temperature changes in your skin, the texture and the color of your skin can change, changes in hair growth, nail growth, joint stiffness, swelling, damaged muscle spasms, decreased ability to move in the affected area. So, and it really changes from person to person. And with CRPS, what makes it such a tricky condition is that it can spread if it's not under control. I have it in my left foot. If it wasn't under control, it could spread up my leg, up into my upper body. It could jump from my left leg, and they call it mirroring. It could mirror in my right foot. Super weird, super tricky condition, and really understudied. I got CRPS in 2021. The year prior, I had a surgery in my right leg. I got my gastroc released because my whole life, my calves have hurt. I was a toe walker as a kid. I had done years of physical therapy trying to stretch my calves, and I was at the point where it felt like my legs were going to explode. There was so much pressure in my legs when I walked. So I went in and I had my gastroc released in my right leg first, and then that doctor retired. So when it was time to do my left leg, I found a new doctor who was fantastic. The day of the surgery, I did one thing differently in my left leg that I did not do in the right leg, and that is I got a nerve block. The nerve blocks are to help manage the pain after surgery. They typically last a couple hours to, I think it's like up to 24 hours at the most. And my mom says that she saw them put the needle in and then pull it out and put it back in. Did feel 2 pokes, so that does make sense to me. Woke up from surgery, everything was fine. Went home, and about 2 days later, I called and I said, I still can't move my leg. I can't feel my knee from the knee down. I can't move my foot. I can't move my toes. I can barely lift my leg. They said, yeah, that's not normal. It should have worn off days ago. I said, okay, just watch it like 2 more days. If it doesn't get better, come in. Days later, I still can't move anything. And at this point, I'm non-weight bearing. So I was in a boot full time, and I was on one of those little scooters, which I thought would be really fun. They're not fun. They are hard. Go to the doctor, and he's like, yeah, I think we need to get an MRI, see what's going on. They did an MRI, and it showed that I had a toxic reaction to the nerve block. They said on the MRI that it looked like there was so much liquid and swelling around the nerves in the back of my knee. There was pressure on the nerve in the back of my knee. Definitely has pressure on it. Nerves take a long time, so let's give it a week or so, see how it starts to heal. Nights later, I woke up in the most excruciating pain I had ever felt in my life. Like someone had dumped gasoline on my leg and my foot and then lit it on fire and then run over it with a car. Like, it was deepest bone deep ache I had ever felt in my life. And the burning, it felt like I don't even know how to describe the burning. It would be like icy hot on steroids the whole night awake because I was in so much pain I couldn't sleep. Anything that touched it hurt. The next day I would go back to the doctor who did the surgery, and I really have to give credit to this doctor because he was one of the first people to say, I think we need to look at CRPS for you. And I think what I'm so grateful for is that some doctors, I think, wouldn't mention that, or they would be scared that they made a mistake. And it was just, I'm really grateful that the doctor said, we need to look into this and we need to look into it fast. And for a nerve conduction test, see how your nerves respond. And I had no reaction in my leg. So from my knee down, the report said something along the lines of like extreme nerve damage. To this day, I don't have feeling from the knee down. I have the littlest bit of feeling on my shin. The other 2 sides I can't feel very well. And then my CRPS particularly landed in my left foot and my toes. And that's where the excruciating pain was. It was like my ankle, my toes, that whole area was burning beyond belief. With CRPS, like I said, it can spread. So getting it under control in a hurry is a really big deal. They sent me to a pain doctor because that's kind of who deals with CRPS because it's a chronic pain condition, pain doctor. And like I said, this is a condition that isn't studied a lot. And so when you go to the doctor, I mean, you just trust, if they say they know, you kind of trust that they know. And I was in so much pain. And I think when you're in that much pain, you're so desperate that you're like, if you can help me, please. And this doctor said to me, they're a different form of nerve blocks in your back, and they're supposed to help the pain. I did 10 of those in my back every week, once a week. They weren't working. Like, they were making it worse. They were making it so much worse. They were making my POTS so bad. Finally, I was like, I think I just need a second opinion. Like, this isn't working for me. I go to another doctor. Doctor said, if you don't have relief on the third one, you're not supposed to do any more than 3 ever. I look back and I'm like, that freaking doctor did 10 on me, probably added to my POTS. And it's just you trust these people because they know things you don't know. I was so kind of just devastated that a doctor would do that. We have 2 more options. We can do 2 types of stimulators. So, and by this time, I'm already on a ton of medication for it, nerve pain. Let's try a peripheral nerve stimulator. And what that means is it's one that's on the outside of your body. It's not permanent. This one lasted, I think, 2 months. And the idea was that it would interrupt the pain signals being sent to the nerve long enough that they could start to heal. To do the test, they have to, with no numbing, take a huge needle and go directly into the leg, touching the nerves that they think are affected to see if when they turn on this unit, it feels like a TENS unit, it relieves the pain. The person who's inserting it, he looks over to the sales rep of this device and he's like, look, I'm not going to do this to her. Her leg is so damaged. The nerves are so far gone that I will not do this to her. It's not going to work. Her condition is really bad. And like, I don't care what you say about the device. We are not doing this. My CRPS was so painful. When I first got CRPS, I wanted them to take my leg. That sounds dramatic, but I was in so much pain. I was like, just take it from the knee down. I don't need it. I don't want it. I don't care. Like, just take it. Because I was in so much pain. I just thought to myself, if they take it, maybe it'll be gone. And the leg wasn't working. I couldn't move. I couldn't walk on it. It was bad. And it was like, by the time I was weight bearing after the surgery, I couldn't walk on my foot because I couldn't feel it. And so I would just fall. Like, by this point, I had waited a year to get this trial. So I'd been a year with CRPS. It had moved from my toes to my foot and my ankle. Sounds like it's back to back, but these are years of waiting to see a doctor who can do this procedure because it is rare. I think it was 2022, I finally get my spinal cord stimulator put in. You don't get relief for about 3 or 4 days after the surgery because it takes time almost to wash over the nerves. About 3 to 4 days in, my foot started to feel better. And the recovery is a long process. It's 8 weeks of no bending, no lifting, no twisting. And that sounds easy, but it is not. You can't wipe yourself. You can't bend down to get food. You have to get off the couch straight because if you move your spine at all, those leads in your back could move. You have to take the 8 weeks so they can scar into place. And I talk about this because there are so many people out there suffering with complex regional pain syndrome. And there are so many people who aren't believed because it does sometimes affect an area that has no damage to it. There's no cause for it. You could do an x-ray, an MRI, a CT, and there would be nothing wrong in the affected area. And so I think a lot of times they're not believed, or people think they're after pain pills or whatever. And just because you don't understand it doesn't mean it's not real for that person. I hope that sharing my story tells people out there that, one, you're not alone. There are other people with CRPS out there. Start to getting it in 2020. It took me 5 years to get to where I am now. And that was years of PT, trying different treatments, stimulators, surgeries, and it's still there. Like, my leg is still damaged. I still don't have feeling. I don't have a lot of muscle. I can't move my toes. So it's a whole thing, but it can get better. And this treatment might not be for you. I don't know. I'm just talking about myself. And I just want to say, again, I hope that this podcast and spreading awareness about CRPS can lead to people, doctors, doing more research about it, studying it, believing patients who have it. Thanks again for listening.